hours and hours of episodes.
Really?
Tonight's show is going to be about current events. What we're going to do is we're going to introduce the panel. We have a really short panel today because we're going to cycle through a bunch of different topics. As you know, my name's Naomi Minhaj. I'm your host, and thank you for watching 50 Shades of Red podcast. So some of the topics we're going to be talking about tonight is the new executive order specifically targeted to minorities. And can we mute our panelists who are drinking? Also, we're going to be talking just a little bit about Mexico's new perspective on immigration.
I'm going live with another panel.
Okay. The new things that Mexico's president is currently doing to combat the caravan that is currently in Tijuana. And if we have time, we'll touch on France and we'll touch on the new transgender issues that we have going on in Virginia. So Tommy, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Right. Am I muted or am I live?
You're live.
We can hear you.
Tommy. Unfortunately, I'm Naomi's uncle. But you know, like her, I'm an academic, you know, business partner, and I'm just learning about the social and political issues that go on through this podcast. See what happened, right? Okay, there we go.
Today is just
Stop laughing.
it's just not a good day today.
There we are.
Get your boobs out the camera.
I'm back.
Okay, anyway.
My intro, right.
Talisha.
My name is Talisha. I have a blog called Street Politics with Talisha. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. And all I do is talk politics.
Thank you for joining us. I love your Instagram.
Thank you.
You're the only other conservative that listens to trap music.
Oh, yeah. I argued with other conservatives about that. Like, I'm not giving that up. I don't care what nobody
I'm not giving that up either. And I'm not giving cursing up and using the nigga word. I'm keeping all of it.
Yeah, me neither. So
Even though
I'm not the
I'll
average
leave my
conservative.
opinion to myself. Okay.
Yeah. No, but that's kind of like what our name means, 50 Shades of Red. Like being conservative comes in all different, you know, varieties and people and things like that. So why should we have to fit in the box of like what's supposed to be a Black conservative?
Right.
So I'm gonna just go ahead. We're not gonna listen to this whole speech. I'm just gonna play probably like 5 minutes, probably less. I'm gonna skip around. So give me 1 second. Okay.
Our goal is to ensure that America's great new prosperity is broadly shared by all of our citizens. It's doing better than ever economically, and we're able to do it. I'm thrilled to announce that our new council will be led by Secretary Ben Carson, who is here with us today. Also with us, it's Secretary Stephen Mnuchin and Secretary Wilbur Ross, who will both serve on the council and play a critical role in its work. The council will focus its efforts on opportunity zones, a crucial part of tax cuts that we passed last year. Under our new tax cuts, any distressed area that is designated as an opportunity zone will receive massive incentives for private sector investment, including zero capital gains tax on any investment held for at least 10 years. We're honored to be joined today by the person who led the fight to include opportunity zones in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and that is Senator Tim Scott. Thank you. We're also joined by Roger Campos of the Minority Business Roundtable, along with Jimmy Kemp. Thanks, fellas. Appreciate it. It's great. Pastor Errol Scott. This council will support communities like East Baltimore, where Pastor Dante Hickman is helping lead a groundbreaking project in the newly designated Opportunity Zone. I'd like to invite Pastor Hickman to say a few words about today's initiative. He's been an incredible leader.
The executive order you signed today will make it possible for us to work with your administration on a common goal of investing to restore people as we rebuild properties in neglected communities. And through our Mary Harvin Transformation Center Community Development Corporation, in partnership with other faith-based stakeholder institutions, developed the East Baltimore Revitalization Plan, addressing development needs of over 100 acres just north of Johns Hopkins Hospital, and was recently approved and adopted by the City Planning Department of Baltimore. Our area has been federally designated as an opportunity zone, and this bipartisan legislation can leverage public and private funding towards community revitalization. Your influence on federal agencies and private entities through this executive order will enable distressed communities like Broadway East in Baltimore to obtain investment needed to capitalize and bridge funding gaps to create sustainable health, wealth, housing, educational, recreational, grocery, and employment opportunities. It will strengthen small, emerging, and other businesses as well.
Today, we are also proud to be joined by one of America's most admired business leaders, the co-founder of the television network BET, Bob Johnson. Bob, please.
Sure.
And I'm here to applaud you on two things. One, you may have ignored about. Just recently, your Department of Labor signed a historic document that created something called auto portability. Auto portability is designed to reduce retirement leakage among low-income 401k account holders who tend to cash out. Mr. President, you should know this, 60% of African American and Hispanic Americans cash out of their 401k account. When this program, the policy that Secretary Costa initiated along with my company is implemented, along with the big financial record keeping facilities and cards, this program will put close to $800 billion back in the retirement pockets of minority Americans. So I just want to applaud you for that. Now, getting to the most important thing. Most of you probably know that I started BET on a $500,000 loan from a guy named John Malone. That $500,000 and John Malone put into BET allowed me, along with a lot of other minority employees and others, to build a $4 billion business. What this proves is the efficacy, Mr. President, of a program that allows capital to flow to places where people are seeking an opportunity. And I am convinced that this program, where the tax incentives flowing out of the Treasury Department to business people, will cause people to invest money where before they saw risk, now they will see opportunity. And that combination of putting money into communities will allow for those communities to become vibrant, to become safe, to create ownership, and most important, to contribute to the well-being of this country.
All right. So I stopped it there because I don't know who's eating the bag of chips. Hey, did you hear the video?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, Anthony.
Yeah, I sent it to him yesterday. Hold on.
Okay.
We gotta unmute.
So we just played the video a little bit, and I played certain parts that I thought were important because people were asking me online, and even my husband said, how are for the tax program, right? The 401k and program, how are they getting that money to cut, I guess, the cost of taking out your 401k early, right? How are they getting that money? Then the second question I was asked is, will these investors going into the what did you call the zones?
Urban opportunity zone or something?
Opportunity zones. Yeah, opportunity zones. Will the investors giving the money be directly buying up property in opportunity zones? And so basically what I was able to come up with is we don't really know yet, but ideally it would be that the investors would be giving money, and this council of people that he has would be converting it to grants, giving it to minorities to buy the property themselves. That I can see, okay, because everyone's fear right now is regentrification, right? That's the biggest fear, that they're going to take advantage of this program disguised supposed to be for the people, but white people are going to come in and buy our communities up and force the black people out. And it's just a cycle of effect, right? But if we think back to like the 80s and 90s, this happened already. Something very similar happened. The mob actually took those grants and program money and were using people as fronts to buy the properties. And instead of like keeping them long term, they were just flipping them and not doing any work to them. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. They had mentioned later on in that interview that these were going to be long-term investments. So the opportunity of flipping it would not be an option. You wouldn't be allowed to flip it. In Pennsylvania, they're currently implementing that now with auctioned off businesses and houses. You're no longer allowed to flip that house before, I think it's like 2 to 3 years. So they're trying to make it even longer right now because people were doing the same thing. They were buying these $3,000 houses and leaving them looking like shacks and selling them for like triple the price. You know what I mean? Right. But I would like to hear everyone else's opinion on it. Do you think this is a disguise for regentrification? Or do you think because he has black people counseling this? I've never seen Bob Johnson at the White House with Obama. So that says a lot to me that he even went there, given the heat that he was going to get for being with Trump. It says a lot that these people were like, I'll take it to get this done. So that shows me that maybe this is a legit thing that he's trying to do because he wants to get reelected.
Now, my opinion, I don't know. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead.
Okay, my opinion is it depends on who the money, who has the money go in, because you know a lot of people want to be behind a lot of stuff that Trump do, but some people ain't there for the right reasons. Like me personally, I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I don't like Daryl Scott up under no circumstances. You know what I'm saying? And if I was to help them with that by me being here in Cleveland, me and him have to get some things understood. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these programs be put in place for the good reasons. Then you have people that's here for their own personal greed and gain and mess it up for everybody. So what Trump need to do, instead of just having any old black person out, when I seen the co-founder, what's his name, Mr. Johnson?
Yeah.
When I seen him up there, I'm like, oh, this got to be something, you know, for him. Because I never seen him step in and pull
he doesn't get involved in politics
up under nothing. But certain them other people is, to me, just my opinion, a lot of them is just clout chasing and searching for you know, just want to be the thing with Trump. So I want Trump to be very careful in who he really have on this, because everybody, you got to have for the world want you to fail. And that's all it's going to take for this program to fail black folks. And it's going to be over with. It's going to be curtains.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say that one thing I want to say is as far as Bob Johnson, man, actually Bob Johnson, he did meet with Obama back in 2012.
Did he? I didn't know he did.
Yeah, it's a situation where, I mean, you got to look at it like they're not really going to cover it. You know what I mean? Because if you look at a lot of the things, you got to look at what would technically be news. And to be honest with you, it's not like the news networks were really covering this when it happened. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go back, I mean, it wasn't really being covered. But anyway, he met with Obama. It was basically discussed kind of like a Rooney Rule type thing. It was called the RJR rule, basically, which is saying in executive positions, companies need to at least interview 2 to 3 minority candidates, like for vice president and up. So basically, it's like when these CEO positions become available for these major Fortune 500 companies, he was basically asking Obama to create an executive order that would basically do kind of what they do in the National Football League, which is with the Rooney Rule, which basically says you need to interview somebody who's a minority when you have a major head coaching or a general management position, or just a very upper level management position in football. So that's basically what he had talked to Obama about.
Did that actually go through?
I was reading up on it. I think he was telling Obama to renew it. So I was trying to find some more information, but once again, a lot of times with sources and news, they'll talk about the initiation of it, right? Now, trying to get more information about what's actively going on is very difficult. So I can't say whether he instituted it or not, but I know he at least met with Obama at the White House to say he thought it was a good idea.
I think that Ben Carson should
So
head. I think Ben Carson should head.
Met with Obama at the White House.
Sorry.
Oh, it's fine. I think he should head it because he's director of HUD, right? He's in charge of HUD, and at YBLS he spoke to us about what he's doing with HUD, and it's a great plan that he's on. I actually got the opportunity to talk to him personally in the corner, standing out. Okay, and he is such a sweetheart. But I think he should be in charge of this financial management. Honestly, because like you said, Tanisha, they're clout chasing. Everybody's clout chasing right now, right? They want to get in where they fit in. Even if Trump fails, they want to advance their own careers. And I think, especially when you got things on the table with this, like the tax situation, we can't let it fail. We have to get people who are front runners in our community and not the frauds to back this. And I hate to always bring up Montega, but Montega is actually on Instagram saying, he's excited to be a part of this with his brother.
But is he really?
No, he's not. But that's my point. That's my point exactly. Now, do we really want Montega the face of this? No, we don't. We want educated Black men who went to college, who have business degrees and MBAs and accounting degrees to be the head of this, because we don't want money being stolen. You know what I mean? We don't want these investments to start not being shown. Like, all that's going to happen is all this money's going to pour in, and then shit ain't going to get done. And then Trump is going to be, oh my God, public enemy number one. And who cares that he doubled the child tax credit? Who cares that he lowered the cost it takes to empty your 401k early? No one's going to care about any of that, because now they have a reason to really dislike it.
Yeah, but I think it's I think it's dangerous only because of the intent. Sometimes when I say dangerous, let me say that it's based on the intent of what it is hypothetically designed to do. And the hypothetical design of what it's intended to do doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to do what it's intended to do. Because if you look at it, it's almost giving people a free pass to, when you talk about investment, and he's talking about investments that last over 10 years, which would kind of hopefully deter some of those things that you're talking about. But I'm pretty sure Anthony's seen it, because we, live within a reasonable distance of each other. A lot of these people are buying property, and they're not touching it. Like, they're buying up these foreclosed properties, and they're just holding on to them, and they're just waiting. And eventually, because if you look at where our new stadium,
properties, there's a law, because when my husband got his rental and we sold it, it was a HUD house, so we got it for the low. HUD made us jump through all these hoops. They came in and said, oh, there's a little crack in the ceiling. You can't sell this. It's unsellable. So up here, they have those things in place already, where if you were going to try to do that, you can't. It took us like forever to fix minor stuff that we would have never had to fix if we hadn't bought it for the low from HUD.
Right. And see, what I'm saying is, I'm speaking mostly from a real estate standpoint, but what I want to see done is what I've been saying a lot of rich people should be doing for a long time. It's like, when they have the money, like, when you see so-and-so gives $1 million to charity, like, is it really a big deal, or is it's just a tax write-off? Because they're either going to pay it in taxes, or they're going to basically lose that money anyway. Because a lot of times you'll see these companies using their tax write-offs to give money away. That's where I want to see the investment focused. Instead of just being like, hey, for example, United Way gives away millions of dollars to scholarships every time somebody makes a field goal. You understand what I'm saying? But it's like a situation where,
do we have proof that money actually goes to individuals? And
no, and that's what I'm saying. I want to see, like, for example, Coca-Cola might say, oh, okay, we like this idea. We want to invest $10 million into the Southwest Atlanta area, which is one of those areas that is technically approved by this council. you want to see that $10 million like go into a small business development. You want to see it go into a school upkeep, maybe, you know, getting the security and things like we talk about that we need within the school system and all those, some of these problems that we don't necessarily need federal money for, they can start to go. And that's what I want to see it used for, because like I said, if it's more or less kind of sort of like a land grab and people are just using it to defer that capital gains tax, because even if they just got to hold on to it for 10 years and they can still sell it, but it would just happen to be in that area, but it's in one of those areas, like you said, that is going to be gentrified, then yeah, it's a very, very positive thing in theory, but it's also very dangerous as well.
I mean, it makes me beg the question, and I know I'm going to get like so much heat for this, but this is honestly how I truly feel. Why is regentrification so bad? Honestly, like, why is it so bad? Why do we have to look at everything from a negative perspective? I get that it essentially pushes blacks out, but shouldn't it be encouraging black people to look for better jobs, to stay in their communities that are looking lovely now? I mean, in Philadelphia, where we own rental properties, we fixed them up, but there were Russians that came in right near our properties and like totally made them look beautiful. And we were kind of like, shit, we can't sell them now because look at what they did to these properties. They look amazing and they're charging the same rent we're charging. So now as business owners, we have to make them look good. And as a result of us competing, the whole neighborhood that was once a crack area is going to look amazing in the next 5 to 10 years. Well, so you know what I mean? And now gays are moving in. You know, once the gays move in, that shows that property values are going up.
Go ahead, Tom. Go up, but they need to be educated on what they're doing and how they're doing it. Like you spoke about Ben Carson. I know he's a brilliant neurosurgeon, or was a brilliant neurosurgeon and all that. But you gotta. But for the general public, you gotta understand: is this particularly just for image, or is it proaction? Is he actually going to? If you put him in place to kick this thing off, will he get results for it? It's a grand idea, but when I heard Mr. Johnson speak in that interview, I was thinking that he's talking about how those certain areas need an upkeep and so forth and so on. I'm thinking, well, as a billionaire, what were your injections financially? Did you put anything into those communities or start some type of cause to educate the communities to help them upgrade themselves? I think I don't want to prejudge, but I think his whole platform, because you got to think he's a billionaire. So of course he need to protect his investment as well. And maybe through Trump, that's maybe what his agenda is. But I don't want to accuse him of that. I'm hoping that his what he spoke about was actually what he wanted to do.
Yeah, because he said he started BET with a $500,000.
Right. Absolutely. So
Anthony, you want to? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so what's his proaction? Then, I'm a statistics guy, so he's saying 60% of those 401ks get cashed in. How did you know that? Where these numbers come from? What demographic did you measure? That kind of thing. So, but that's just my curiosity on that.
Anthony, you had something?
Oh yeah, I was going to speak on the gentrification question. This is a question, right?
Yeah. What's bad about it?
Yeah, gentrification is bad because what tends to happen is developers come in, or people who have money just come in and buy property up. And when they do, they buy the property up and property value goes up. So those people who are working class members can't afford to pay the taxes on the house they had, or, and then you got the whole conflict of the people that's been there for 40 and 30 years. And then you got this young white couple coming in that's not used to how that community operates. And they come in, you get, as they call what do you call it? What's the lady that came to the bar, or Patty Barbecue or something like they call the police on the black family to have a barbecue.
Barbecue Patty.
Yeah, barbecue Patty. You know what I'm saying?
But being from a neighborhood that was regentrified, that's false. Those are stereotypes. Because my grandmother, she owned her house in the Germantown section of Philadelphia for what did you say? It was like 50, 60 years she owned that house? About 50?
No, the Washington Lane house. She owned a house in Duval, Germantown, and then About a good 30, 35 years.
Okay, so towards the end, after she passed away, all those neighbors, I grew up with all the neighbors, so I knew everyone. Bill Cosby's parents were her next door
Right.
neighbors. So we grew up with them, you know. And after she died, regentrification happened. Houses started getting rebuilt. The white couples moved in. But guess what? They weren't rude. The old people stayed there. Okay,
Sure.
they were fixing things up. That didn't happen. I think that's a stereotype, and it's not fair because even my husband and I, we contribute to regentrification essentially by fixing up our rental properties that are in the hood.
I disagree because if you look at like even the city of New York, you look at Harlem, right? Like
Okay.
Harlem at one point was like the black, like that was where the majority of Black Americans live, and now you got white folks coming in and they buy up everything and pushing them out. Even if you look at Central Park was a Black-owned neighborhood before they built a park there. But when they came through, they said, "Hey, we're gonna push these Blacks up out of here." They pushed them out to the outskirts of like pushed them to Harlem and Brooklyn and all that.
So what is it called then when Black people move into upper echelon middle class neighborhoods and they start bringing the property values down by messing their houses up? What's that called then?
White flight.
Well, white
folks
flight's
don't care about
happening
Black
where
folks.
I live, and I don't like it.
That's what's happening with a lot of stuff with Section 8, like in Cleveland, Ohio. A lot of the suburbs, the landlord's not even taking it because you having people that's coming from real hood projects going to stay in suburb areas with the same kind of project mentality. You know what I'm saying? Things that we can do in the projects, we can't do that in a suburb neighborhood. But I think they need to have people on their team that are, or advisors on that team that are failing, people that can't thrive, because you need to find out why somebody can't thrive. You can't have a millionaire try to tell you something about me when you never stepped in my shoes. You know what I'm saying? So that's like the thing I had to say with Candace and with the prison reform. Yeah. I did a whole video on that. Like, okay, how y'all doing prison reform, but ain't nobody in y'all circle been to prison?
Been in prison.
I'm over here begging, sending emails out, trying to get on the team. Nobody want to be like, what the y'all ain't, you don't know how all you do know is what's in these books. They need people that's going through these processes and things to see why you not thriving. First of all, when they gonna put this program together, you can build all the nice houses up in the world, but if they ain't got no resources up, they don't know. I didn't know about credit, finance, and none of that. I found out that stuff years later. I was never taught that. I was raised in the hood. I was raised in the projects. Our parents didn't teach us that. And that's why with these welfare programs, instead of just giving them $25 a month and letting them stay there for free, them classes need to be implemented in that so they can learn those type of things. You can go build up whatever, but if they mind ain't right, everything gonna fail.
Well, let me ask you something. Who do you blame? Do you blame the culture, or do you
I
blame
the culture.
It's the culture.
I
can't blame nobody but how I was raised from my mother. And it's a generation after generation after generation. At some point, you have to cut it off.
I think we have to look at individuals, but we have to look at individuals too. We can't just say it's a generational thing because some people, regardless of generation, got more sense than others. And they got that urge to want to learn and that urge to want to venture out from the norm.
You always have 2 or 3 might fall out the tree, but everybody else is going on the same path. But it's just it's a household issue that they're gonna have to break down going in these urban communities. You can't just go in these urban communities, putting up these homes, talking about some financials. They don't even know what the hell financial is.
I think that's what Trump's doing too, because he just implemented that Industry Jobs Act. He was in Philadelphia talking about it. I think it was like a month and a half ago, where he said, if our kids, if they're dropping out of school, if they don't want to go to college, guess what? Don't worry about it. Give them a skill. If they have a skill like we used to have, they will never be out of work. And he's not lying. They won't be. None of these have any hand skills. And the area I live in is upper middle class white people. They all work in construction. They do welding. They do metal making. They don't do these tech jobs and shit that are in the cities because they're not around here. It's not that type of environment. We're in the country. But all of them know how to do a skill with their hands. And I kind of looked at like my husband and my son, like, why you ain't out there building stuff? You know, why he don't know how to do that? Like, and that little 5-year-old can build something. But that goes to show you that these skills were generational. That way of thinking was passed down. And that's what we're missing.
Well, how was that? How was that way of thinking passed down? How did it get that way? Because we have
You know what? His parents are, my neighbor's parents are here. I don't know.
It's more than
boils
what.
down
It's
to
more than just culture. Yeah. It's more than just culture. It's the combination of things, like especially for Black Americans throughout America. When the Blacks left the South during the Great Migration and moved to cities like Chicago, St. Louis, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Los Angeles, a lot of times when they got to those cities, they thought they escaped racism. They faced racism in the northern cities as well. And the government had what you call redlining, where the white people say, "Hey, I don't want these Black people to live right here near me. So we're going to push them and keep them in the ghettos." So guess what happens? They go to poor schools, get worse education. They go to they don't get the same jobs. So that helped create that mess or
But
whatever.
You know what?
that's
The
a down
facts are
south
these.
thing. Wait,
The
hold on,
facts are
Tommy.
these.
That's a down
Okay.
south thing. I got clients who are in their 90s who've opened their yearbooks up here, and it's Black people in the class. And I said to them, "Was there racism?" And they said, "Yeah, there was, but guess what? It wasn't in school and it wasn't at work. It was only when I wanted to go to Michael's house that my parents would say, 'No, no, no, he's down there. You can't go down there.' But when it came to working, they were next to each other. When it came to being in school, it was no racism." He said you just were integrated. Now I don't know if this is true for my uncle's generation, because Tommy's
Yeah,
around.
we were integrated. Yeah.
But he's 90. My patient is 90 and said this. And when I go to the yearbook, the Black kids are in there buddy hugged up with these white people.
Well, the thing is this, and I'm always spoken on this, even when I do speaking engagements and things like that. It's just that if you know there's adversity, I'm not saying that you can cure it, but collectively, if you make better decisions, you have better choices. You have a Black community sometimes that people run on their own juice. They don't look to get the knowledge or chase the knowledge that can help them collectively make better decisions. We can't always keep pointing the finger. We just can't keep saying, "Oh, I get it. Racism is going to be prevalent. It's always going to be around." So, knowing this, we got to make better choices. We can't make negative choices. We got to make more positive choices on a collective basis, on a unity basis. But times have changed. The kids and this generation just does, especially in the Black culture, just does whatever they feel like doing. And then when it's at thirst, they want to point the finger and say, "Oh, I didn't have the opportunity, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that." You know, it can be as simple as cleaning up your own neighborhood collectively.
Yeah, but Thomas, one thing, hold on, going back to when he was talking about gentrification earlier, there's one thing that needs to be explained and separated. There's a difference between personal gentrification and corporate gentrification.
Right.
Okay, the corporate gentrification is the one that can be very problematic. Like, for example, I've said it plenty of times about where I live. If I decide to fix up my own home, improve the property value of all the people around me, that is basically personal gentrification, and that's perfectly acceptable. If I want to go out of my own community, clean up parks, do all these different types of things, that's perfectly fine. But going back to what Anthony was speaking on earlier, the problem with it, it's not that you're technically making you as a small business or whatever. I wouldn't put it as like corporate. We're talking about if you go buy a house here, a house in another part, it's when you can buy up entire street blocks of properties. And then that's when, like I said, you're going to basically price out the people who are there. That's when, like I said, this corporate gentrification is the problem, in my opinion, because like I said,
Right.
That's the one where you're starting to push people out who have been there in these houses, not just the people who just personally fix up their houses or the people who have their houses passed down and all the other thing like that. Trifling, I see that. What I'm saying is, like, it's a situation where when you have, like I said, major corporations that are coming in, and we've seen it, like you can see it like for example in Atlanta, the West End area. Maybe 12 years ago, I remember they were selling lofts right up the street from Morehouse College. They were basically trying to get rid of them. They were selling them for maybe $30,000-$40,000 for these lofts right next to the West End Mall.
Yep, yeah, I'm talking about.
Yeah, and now because they built, they came in, they bought up some of this old factory stuff. They built Monday Night Brewery, I believe the name of it is. They've come through and they've started adding some of these things, and we're getting, honestly, more white people on that side of town. Now that same loft in the same area of town, anybody who knows West End ain't no great area. You know what I mean? Now it's $200,000 and $250,000 for that same loft that was going. So now, you have the people who's going to be able to afford those $250,000 lofts now, and who's going to try to get into those properties. When before, like I said, it would have just been houses that you can get a house in the West End for $40,000, $50,000, because that's normally the way it works. In the undesired locations, that's where poor people are going to live. If there are technically no undesirable locations, where the poor people live. So that's kind of sort of what you got to kind of look at.
Right. And I agree 100%. But what's the solution? What do you think is a resolution?
The solution to gentrification?
No, for the corporate part of it.
Well, the bottom line is, but it's like I got a shoulder shrug to it, because the quote unquote capitalist in me says, you know what, that's a part of life. If you have the haves and you kind of had a have-nots. Now, if you want the government to interfere and stop that from happening, then that's a whole nother subject. But when you say what is the solution is, if I see a house and I think it's in a good area or a bad area and I want to go buy it for $15,000, invest $30,000 in it, flip it for $100,000, then that's what I'm supposed to do. Now it's just people are able to do it on a bigger level. So it's not really to me, it's not a problem. It's only a problem once, it gets to a certain scale where, like I said, poor people have nowhere to go. And like you said, Anthony will know this, the poor people, for the most part in Atlanta, have been basically almost pushed all the way. Like, you got to basically be in Clayton County now. That's where all the majority of the poverty people, like, you're basically being pushed as further outside of the city as possible. So honestly, Tommy, I won't say there is no solution to it. The only solution to it would be to go back and do what you said. If I don't have the skills to make the money to live in those areas and neighborhoods where I want to live, then I have to basically go find a way where I can make more money. And sometimes people are going to get involved in illegal stuff. I'm not giving them an excuse, but that's basically what's going to happen. And then that's just going to roll around into the other things, like, going to jail and felonies and all the rest of that stuff. So it's all going to kind of be a cycle. Oh, you want to say something, Talisa?
No, well, back on that, when he was saying about, the areas and the people, but this one lady, I listened to her, she a conservative, and I like her blogs or whatever. And it's like people, especially with Black people, we so quick to blame everybody else for our problems without taking absolutely no responsibility for ourselves. Just take, for instance, when drugs was flooded into our community. I don't care if 100 million pounds of crack cocaine was set right there on the doorstep. It's either for you to walk around it, or you gonna get it or use it. That's your choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, people need to understand you have a choice to do right and wrong. I don't care what nobody put in front of your face. Like I tell my son, he just got out of trouble. And I told him, you got a choice. Either you gonna do some dumb stuff with these people and get in trouble, or if they say something to you, you say you ain't doing that no more and go on about your business. Now the choice is yours. It ain't the white man, it ain't no police officer, it ain't nobody else, it's you. And I think that's what a lot of Black people fail from. They want to blame everything else in society, when she said it right. I have friends that grew up in one of my friends, out of her kids, she grew up in the same environment I did. She is a director of nurse now, and we all grew up together. I got two friends that's a surgeon. We was in the same class, twins. They surgeons in Japan. They went off to the Navy. So it's all you have choices to do better. We can't just be sitting around here saying, oh, we ain't doing this and everybody pushing us out. We got the same 24 hours as everybody else in the world.
And I think that regarding the real estate aspect of it, basically kind of what you just said, right? We have the same 24 hours in a day. And I've said this in previous shows, like my husband's a perfect example of that. We need more Black people to stop spending money on sneakers and dumb shit, and to start saying, hey, this little bit of $300 adds up. Let me save for a year. And oh, look, that house down the street is for sale. I can actually buy that and rent that out, right? We don't have men doing it. We don't have Merrill Lynch in our neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? We don't have places you can go to say, hey, how can I invest? But now places like now we have banks like Wells Fargo and Santander and different banks offering these services for free. They offer investment guidance for free. Do people take advantage of that?
Nope.
No. Whose fault is that? That is not our, like, this is why I always say, black, everything's got to be so black. Why everything got to be a black thing? It shouldn't be a black thing. It's an individual thing. It's your mom's mind was limited, your father was limited, or he wasn't there, and therefore you being limited is okay. My husband didn't have any parents. He's successful. There's plenty of orphans or plenty of people that grew up in the foster system that went to Harvard and became something. So you can't constantly use your surroundings and your environment as a reason why you didn't make it. You just can't do that.
And I agree 100%. I get the perspective the young man was talking about. You fix up a house and then the government comes in and wants to buy up the neighborhood, or some organization wants to buy up the neighborhood, and you've made that investment just to have it taken away from you. But as history has proved, we've given up a lot of opportunities. I look online, I look on Facebook and things like this, and I see where a lot of people credit the past with Black Americans achieving this and achieving that. And the thing that pops into my head, I'm probably going to get knocked for this, is that if we've achieved this, if we are the genesis of this particular situation or that particular situation, how do we let it go? How come it's not still in our control? And a lot of people don't think that broad-mindedly, because they're just, we conform to other things. We conform to things. If we're the inventor of this or we're the discoverer of that, how do we relinquish that to someone else? And then we're pointing the finger and we're mad at them for that. How do we let that go?
Yeah, I mean, I think to what you're saying, that there's a valid. I mean, to me, I look at it like I think we need to be more direct in how we offer explanations. You understand what I'm saying? Because sometimes the facts are just I mean, they are just what they are. But I think when the excuse part, right? Like, it might not necessarily be an excuse to say, like, it's almost like it's just an explanation of what's going on. It's not necessarily an excuse. It's only an excuse if that's the context you put it in. If you say Black people are this because this, and this, instead of just saying, this is the reason why things are the way they happen. Because almost when you make that an excuse, it's almost like you're saying there is no solution to it. You understand what I'm saying? If I'm just explaining the reason why, for example, I mean, I don't really have any explanation for some of these statistics a lot of people like to say, but if you want to talk about crime, for example, why that statistic is so high, then let's just say, for example, if I said the reason why crime is so high is because, too many of our young men are being born in single parent households. I'm just gonna say that. Okay, if that's my explanation for what I see happening, then an excuse is our Black men are going to jail because they're being raised by single parent households. You understand the difference of what I'm saying? Because it's like I'm saying they're basically like they have to go to jail, or we can't do anything because we're being raised in single parent households instead of this, maybe in this hypothetical. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying in a situation where you're using some sort of stat or some sort of statistic or fact that you want to throw out there, and you say, I can't do this because, like, for example, I can't go buy a Ferrari because I don't have the money, right? That the excuse is the money is the excuse. You see what I'm saying? It's just me explaining why I can't do something. Now, if I said the white man, because the white man don't want to give me no job is the reason why I can't get no Ferrari, it starts to change things up, because now I'm making excuses for why I can't go do something else. So that's what I'm trying to say. I hear what Thomas is saying, because I think too many times it's more or less like excuse making. They don't want us to have no jobs. They don't want us to live here. They don't want, it's almost like you want to say something and you want me to co-sign it, even though it could be in all terms true. But what I'm saying is I feel like the Naomi approach is better. Well, that's fine. You can say that. But guess what? If my credit is good and I got money, I'm going to live right next to you, and I dare you to do something about it. You know what I'm saying? Like that to me needs to be the mentality that kind of sort of change those type of things. Because as long as we just continue to say, well, they don't want this, or they don't want us to have this, or they don't want us to prosper, or they don't want, I mean, really, if you think about it from Only people who really, really probably want you to prosper are your family. Everybody outside that really probably ain't even concerned about it. So it's no point even trying to make it seem like it's this whole community thing or it's this big conspiracy.
And I agree with that 100%. And with the knowledge of that, we need to make better choices. We need to think as a collective to make better decisions. If we know it's adversity, if we know we go to jail, we're not going to get the same justice with the same crime as the white guy does, then we need to make a better decision prior to that. We need to know that that the odds are against us. That's the thing we don't embrace. I mean, we talk about the odds being against us, but we don't embrace it to be proactive enough to do something different. We don't have to just go along with the program. Or I get it. In certain communities, a lot of times people just want they feel as though, what do I have to lose? I live in adversity here. I'm indigent and I'm this and I'm that. So I'm going to take risks. The risks are higher. I totally get it. On a psychological platform, I get it. The risks are higher. But also the consequences match the risk. If you take a high risk and you're a black man, then the consequences probably are going to outweigh what it would someone else.
So
So
how
we need
about
to
not
kinda-
get in trouble and go to jail? That'll solve all that.
I was going to say that. I was going to
Yeah.
say
You gotta
there's a
not get in
difference.
trouble.
I was going to say there's a difference in smart drug dealers and smart criminals than there is against stupid ones. And the difference is they don't go to jail. So the difference is they hustle smarter, right? So if you're going to take this risk, like you said, let's just say drug dealers are on the same page as somebody who's playing the stock market. You invest your time, right? You invest your money and you take a risk that it might fail. You take a risk that you're going to go to jail for doing this. The smart drug dealers are the ones that don't stand on the corner, okay? The ones that stand on the corner go to jail. It's the same type of logic. Like if you're gonna say you have no options and you're gonna put that much effort into doing something illegal, then why don't you just go all the way and be the best drug dealer you could be or the best car thief you could be and make it a franchise opportunity? You know what I'm saying? Like that's what
But they
never
don't
got
have
me.
some of those guys don't have the strength to progress further.
Well, then they
They're
belong
all
in
in that
But they
corner
don't need
and
to
They
be
stop
belong
doing.
making
in jail.
excuses.
They
Can I
don't need
say
to be
something?
doing nothing then.
Go ahead, Anthony. Go ahead.
This right here is crazy. I hear everything y'all saying, but for some people, they don't even know the options they have. They don't even realize the options they have in life.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So how can you expect a group of people who have, for generation have the same mindset to understand that they have these opportunities where they can make a better decision or say, hey, I'm gonna save this money to fucking buy a house, and they don't know anything about, the different programs that the government has for you, to be able to buy a home.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
I have the answer for that. It's just we live in an era now where you can find out, or you
Thank
can knock
you,
on that
Google.
neighbor's door. I've done it. You don't have to sit pat and just throw your hands up and say it's a hopeless.
Right. I get what you said. I totally get you saying. You can Google everything you want right now. But those people that you're talking about, like I grew up in Milwaukee and Chicago, those people, they're not thinking, bro, they're thinking about day to day. How can I survive? How can I put food on my table? You know what I'm saying? They're not thinking about that.
But why is it that people act like us black folks are so helpless? I got a 3 or 4 year, I don't even know how, but my niece was 2-3 years old. She know how to pull up stuff on the internet. We is not that helpless that we don't know no better. That is, I done came from the hardest of the hardest, and I knew how to get what I wanted to get. Whether it was illegal or legal, I knew how to get. We not that damn. That's like the thing.
A kid this morning from the same neighborhood, right? One kid went to Woodward Academy, which is a private school. He came in, his pants were right at his waist. He was hey, good morning, sir. How you doing? Yes, I'm going to Woodward Academy. If you don't mind, if you just turn the radio down a little bit, I'm going to do my homework. Versus the same kid in the other neighborhood who goes to the public school, same area, same exact neighborhood. He comes in, I can see his boxes when he gets in my car. He ain't going to class. He smells like weed. You understand what I'm saying? It's just, even though it might be stereotypical, but what I'm telling you is the relative exposure of who you are around. The same way, like we talk about this all the time. You ever met black? Wait, time out. You ever met black people when you meet them, you say, "Dang, you probably grew up around white people, right?" It's a certain thing that they have been exposed to, so they don't come off to necessarily think that some of the things that you might be able to do might even be an option.
Well, you know what the hypocrisy of all of that is, and it's no disrespect.
No, you're fine.
It's that you see all these, especially in the urban communities, you see all this. It takes a nation to raise a child. Then they need to be implemented in raising a helpless child when a parent falls short. But they don't do that. And that's why you get the weeded, smelling, my pants are hanging off my behind shit. Because
Yeah, but then that's
everybody's
what,
projecting as a
right.
collective. They're just
But Thomas, but
doing
see
it.
the question, but see the thing is, right? His mom was the one who opened the door to let him come out the house smelling like weed. You see what I'm saying? So a
Right.
situation where like
Well,
we're talking about that
where's
exposure.
the
Huh?
neighbor that's not that's saying, why don't you do something different? Why is everybody afraid of everybody?
I have
We're
no
more afraid
idea.
of our own culture than we are of other cultures.
I just
We
think everybody's
criticize other
minding their,
cultures,
I
but we
think
don't
more,
want the guy run up
I
into
think
our
we're
house
minding
and
our
all that kind
business
of stuff.
right now. You know what I'm saying? I think they're focusing like, I got my house and my
Well,
house is good. We fine. I'm not gonna worry about
well,
what
what's
the
more important, the growth of the youth of our communities, or our own personal wants and needs? You know, we got to collectively stop thinking individually. We just got to think, okay, I got to go over to the neighbor's house and help this neighbor. I got to go to this person and say, I see something and I
But
don't
see,
mean
that's
to be offensive.
environmental too,
You
like
know,
kind of like what they've
yeah,
been
but
saying.
they don't
Like
do
my
that.
neighbors are super friendly and give me advice and help my kids
Sure,
without me asking them. But when we lived in the
sure,
hood, ain't nobody do none of that. You know what I'm
right,
saying? So it's
right.
just I think that kind of goes to what everybody's been saying. But we're gonna move on to a different topic. But before
Z, that's a billionaire, but he sold dope, so he took advantage of his community to get where he had to go. He didn't really
yeah, but
consider who it's going to harm or kill or whatever like that. I'm
Right.
not knocking Jay Z, you know, but it's just as an
knocking,
example, he yeah he made his billions of dollars, you know, with a humble start like he did. Some people, it's a matter of choice. It's how you build, I guess.
I don't consider
yeah,
Jay-Z start
very
humble. I'm sorry.
how you're built,
Well,
I like that. So
yeah.
going off of how you're built, we're gonna go to this wall, right?
Okay, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. You going where?
We're
We're
gonna
gonna
build this
transition.
wall.
Oh god.
We're
Go
gonna
ahead.
transition into the wall, you know. I'm just gonna pull up just a quick transcript. It's like a paragraph long from the Pelosi, Schuler, Trump meeting. I don't know if
Oh
everybody.
my God, that was just too funny.
Oh, it was hilarious. It was President Trump basically saying, "I don't care if you tell me no, I'm doing it anyway." He literally said that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read this really quick, and it's a quote. So it says, let me see, 1 second. It said Trump then appeared to get visibly upset, telling Schumer, quote, you want to know something? I'll take it. You know what I'll say? Yes, if we don't get what we want, one way or the other, whether it's through you or through the military, through anything you want to call, I will shut the government down. And I am proud to shut the government down for the border security. Chuck, because the people of this country don't want criminals and people that have lots of problems and drugs pouring into our country. So I will take the mantle. I will be the one to shut it down. I'm not going to blame you for it. The last time you shut it down, it didn't work. I will take the mantle of shutting it down, and I'm going to shut down the border for border security. And then he responded by saying, we believe you shouldn't shut it down. Then Pelosi said, we don't want to contradict the president when he was putting forth figures that had no reality to them and no basis in fact. She said, we have to, if we're going to proceed in all of this, have evidence-based, factual, truthful info about what works and what doesn't. I didn't want to, in front of those people, aka the cameras, say, you don't know what you're talking about.
Let me tell. Let me.
So
First
on
of
that
all,
note, I'm gonna exit out real quick, but y'all got this.
The government won't shut down because the crime rate will jump through the roof.
you know what was
They
so
know
funny
that.
to me? It's like Nancy Pelosi and them. You got to understand this. They in California. Those illegal people are their vote count. So if this wall go up, they not gonna be in office no more because they gonna have. I don't care what nobody's saying. It's illegals voting for them down there in Southern California. I don't understand why it's so hard for them to protect the border. Y'all say y'all on war on drugs and all this, but it's coming from this one border that you don't want to put a wall up. But see, if they put the wall up, a lot of these politician drug dealers, they'll be broke. Then you have the people that they votes ain't getting in here no more. It's just like, it's just common sense. But y'all live around these big ass houses, these big ass. Take your gate. Would you take your gate down? Let your neighbors come in your house. I have no problem with immigrants want to come over here and live the life they want to live. Just come in here the legal way, not bum rush our borders, then demand something like you somebody. And it's people that's in line for immigration to be American citizens, been in line for 5-6 years. And here it is. You can just come over here and make all these claims, and it's just that. build the damn wall. Y'all find money to do everything else.
Yeah, it's a lot of the one problem with it is the fact that and I'm gonna pull the clip if I can find it. But bottom line is Chuck Schumer maybe 10 years ago, he talked about doing immigration reform, and everything that they're against now, they were for it then. Because like I was listening to what Chuck Schumer was saying. I think he said a 9-point immigration plan, and I just kind of summarized what he said. He was like, number one, we got to stop people from cutting the line. He said, bottom line is he wants you to register, either if it's through some sort of biometric system, and then if you don't, you'll be instantly deported. He said, because basically it's a security risk to do this. He said, he talked about border security. He talked about funding, making sure the border patrol had all the necessary barriers and equipment and all the type of stuff that he needed. He basically went through 9 points. I'm gonna try to find the clip because if you listen to it, because like I said, I agree with everything he said. And it's just amazing to me how just to kind of sort of be contentious right now, it's being made that this is going to be a, like it's a bad thing now, what he's proposing. However, I do believe that, when we speak about the wall or anytime we talk about the wall, we always talk about the border with Mexico, but then Canada wide open. So my question is, why don't we build 2 walls? Why is Canada not an issue? And then you can say, well, because, go ahead. And then my thing is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Because that border right there, you go from South America, Central America, Mexico. Those folks coming up there, they have melanin in their skin. The folks coming down from Canada are white folks generally. So they don't want to put it, they're not worried about just keeping the border safe.
But they not, you don't have a lot of illegals crossing Canada, though.
Yeah. Can I finish talking?
Go ahead.
Can I finish talking?
Like they have down there
Can
in
I?
Mexico.
Wait, hold on. Let it finish.
All right. So that's the reason they're talking about the whole border security thing. It's a cover, man. Because what it is, like I told you before, we've had this conversation about the Solomon. In 2043, America will be a majority country. And white people are scared of becoming a minority. That's the whole focus, why they're so focused on the southern border. I don't know if you ever, I've been to the border, I've been to El Paso, Texas, the only place in the world I've been there 3 times when I was in the military, right? And that is one of the most safest cities in America. And if you ever been to that border, if you get across that goddamn border, you deserve to be in this motherfucker because that's a long way to fucking walk, yo. So at the end of it, it's not about, terrorism. It's not about, of course, there's a lot of drugs that come through the border or whatever, but a lot of those communities, like American towns and Mexican towns, they depend on each other. They trade each other all the time. They work, they come in for work through the border, they go back home. You know what I'm saying? So they all depend on each other. And then if we build this damn wall, some of that wall is going to go through some of the American farmers' land. They're going to use eminent domain to take that land from the farmers. And some of the white farmers down there have already said, or white and Mexican Americans have already said, hey, I don't want no fucking wall here. The people that want the wall that's living in the Midwest, they ain't never been to the border, or probably never going to go to the border.
But Canada, they don't, listen, we ain't going to go over there to South Korea, any one of those, and try to cross over to one of them other countries to see what's going to happen to you. We is the only country that's lax on our security level, on that level. I don't care what.
I don't travel around the whole world. I've traveled the world. And let me tell you something, folks, you go to Europe, you can catch a damn train from Germany and go all the way to Spain, crossing borders. I've been to Seoul, Korea. You can't go to North Korea. You can't. It's illegal across that. But I've been there. That's one country. But a lot of these countries, they don't have all this tension where we're fighting about the border or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Only countries like that, it's like South Korea, North Korea, Pakistan, and India.
Yeah. Hey, hold on one second. I found this thing real quick, and I was basically want to show you what he was talking about. And I just want you to listen to what he was talking about. He talked about this is the things he had for immigration reform. And like I said, I know we got some varying opinions, but I want to know what you either agree with or disagree with. So I'm just going to play a little bit of the clip where he goes through some of the things that he says, this is what we need to do in immigration reform. And then, like I said, this is from 2009. So I believe so. It's a little bit different than what kind of sort of. I just put the tone is completely different. All right. So yeah.
Go ahead.
Can everybody hear it?
It's not playing yet. No,
Well, you can't hear it.
no, I can't hear it.
Nobody hear it. All right. Hold on one second. Here. All right. Try it again. All right, here we go. Can you hear him now?
No.
Do you even see the screen? You see it though, right?
I see the
Yeah, we
screen.
can see it, but
Yeah,
we
bad
can't hear
video.
the audio.
I do not know why the audio. All right, well, let me see if I can do this thing. All right. We don't want to do it that way. We'll do it the direct way. Stop sharing this real quick. I'm just gonna see if I can just share the audio then. Maybe that'll work. Let's see. All right. So now let me try playing.
And the remaining steps that need to be taken to achieve operational control over the entire border.
Could y'all hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now y'all okay, that's fine. Just listen to what he's saying. You don't gotta, he ugly anyway, so you don't gotta watch him. So here we go.
I will also be holding 2 more hearings in July. The first hearing will consider all of the existing ideas and solutions for achieving a simple and workable biometric-based employment verification system. The second hearing will determine how to best structure our employment-based immigration system for the future. Well, during the last few months, I've thought long and hard about what an immigration bill must look like in order to obtain 60 votes in the Senate. After many meetings with stakeholders, other members of Congress, I truly believe that the fundamentals are in place for immigration reform if we coalesce against around 7 key principles that the American people overwhelmingly support. The main idea that underlies each of these 7 principles is that the American people are fundamentally pro-legal immigration and anti-illegal immigration. We will only pass comprehensive reform when we recognize this fundamental concept. The following 7 principles are all based on this concept and comprise what I believe to be the framework for a bill that can receive overwhelming and bipartisan congressional support. First, illegal immigration is wrong, and a primary goal of comprehensive immigration reform must be to dramatically curtail future illegal immigration. Second, operational control of our borders through significant additional increases in infrastructure, technology, and border personnel must be achieved within a year of enactment. Third, a biometric-based employer verification system with tough enforcement and auditing is necessary to significantly diminish the job magnet that attracts illegal aliens to the United States and to provide certainty and simplicity for employers. 4, all illegal aliens present in the United States on the date of enactment of our bill must quickly register their presence with the United States government and submit to a rigorous process of converting to legal status and earning a path to citizenship or face imminent deportation. 5, family reunification is a cornerstone value of our immigration system. By dramatically reducing illegal immigration, we can create more room for both family immigration and employer-based immigration. 6, we must encourage the world's best and brightest individuals to come to the United States and create the new technologies and businesses that will employ countless American workers, but must discourage businesses from using our immigration laws as means to obtain temporary and less expensive foreign labor to replace capable American workers. And finally, 7, we must create a system that converts the current flow of primarily low-skilled illegal immigrants into the United States into a more manageable and controlled flow of legal immigrants who can be absorbed by our economy.
Okay, so I'll start off. What did he say that you disagree with?
He said the same thing Trump said. I don't understand what's the difference. What's the difference?
Oh,
There's
no,
another man
Anthony,
saying it.
you muted. You muted. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
except for the wall, that's the only thing he said. You know, it sounded good to me.
Yeah, but this is what I'm
I
saying.
just don't want the wall. I don't want
No,
to pay $5
right, right. And maybe just the fact that he said infrastructure instead of the wall. But what I'm trying to say is, we all understand that. I mean, we're not all going to agree or whatever the case may be. But what I'm trying to say is, I do not understand why that was not passed in 2009. And if the Republicans stopped it, then that is their fault, because nothing he said to me was outlandish. He said, by far, I mean, because Anthony, I mean, you're against, I mean, do you agree with what he was saying? The majority of America is for legal immigration, not illegal immigration?
Yeah, I think a lot of people want legal immigration over illegal immigration.
And that goes back to everything that he was saying. I don't feel that any one of the 7 points he made, making the employers responsible. I've said that there needs to be some system to hold them accountable, because bottom line is like the same way Talicia talked about with her crack example, right? If there is no incentive, right? If there is no incentive to do something, then employers won't do it. Like, for example, if they found that you had illegal workers and they were going to fine you $1 million per worker, how hard do you think it would be to hire those people? Be pretty difficult. You know what I'm saying? But once again, it just depends on how much you want to stop it. But only reason why I played that is because it's Chuck Schumer, who, a guy, like I said, I have no love for, because I feel he just says what he feels is what not everybody wants to hear. This is what his people want to hear at the time, because obviously he's changed his tune. He talked about the country being flooded with low-skilled workers. It's starting to sound something like when Trump talked about having what was it called? Merit-based immigration, a little bit of that. Maybe
That's
not
the same thing. It's the same thing.
You understand what I'm saying?
Different terms.
It's just almost like
What's considered low-skilled workers, though?
Huh?
What is considered a low-skilled worker? What is considered low-skilled?
I mean, the only thing I'll be talking, he didn't go specifically, but when I think low-skilled, I'm thinking manual labor. It doesn't necessarily mean they're not good at what they do, but I'm thinking low-skilled manual labor that doesn't require, not that I don't even care what it sounds like, picking fruit. You know what I'm saying? You've been down to Florida. You said you've been to Texas, so you've seen where they got those huge. You've been down to Florida. Yeah. You've seen the orange groves, and you know who's picking the orange groves.
But are we going to? Now we stop the low-skilled worker. Are you gonna go out there and pick some fruit?
No, but see, I'm not going to. Wait, time out. But remember, we also talked about the solution to that as well, though, Anthony. We already talked about the solution. And I told you I have no issue with issuing what I call agricultural visas. It was basically the same thing. And it basically said, hey, look, wait, but time out. It also, Tommy, why you laughing? It protects the worker, because now once you register, right, then now you get all the benefits of not an American citizen, but now you can't go out and pick oranges all day and get paid $50. You see what I'm saying? It's like you got to pay them some sort of appropriate way. I mean, if it's minimum wage they're getting paid, so be it. But at least you can't go out and pick oranges for 12 hours and they say, well, here's your $50. Good thing you don't have no paperwork, but we might have to actually pay you and offer benefits and other things. So I do believe, like, in those low-skilled areas that we can all agree that most Americans don't want to do, offer them a visa. I mean, you should offer a low-skilled visa. It don't matter what the name of it is. You know what I mean? Or labor visa. You know what I mean? I know that's what they call work visas, but
is that visa taxed? Is there a tax added to that visa?
Yes. Well, I put it like this. Because I am involved in the process and I know something about the process. Once you get an alien identification number, right? They can track the IRS now tracks you. So the same way your social security number needs to show or do a return every year, that alien identification number needs to show a return as well, because I'm not sure, but I've heard that the IRS is almost like an instant report that goes on the alien identification numbers that do not pay taxes. So it is something that's required.
That's good. That's a good idea.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is, we go back to 2009, and I just look at are we just gonna keep playing these games? You understand what I'm saying? Like, nothing Chuck Schumer said to me was outlandish. It wasn't radical. It wasn't far left, far right. It was like he said, it was common sense immigration. Nothing he said was out. So my question is, why didn't that bill pass? And if
Because
the
it's a lot of
Republicans
old
stopped it,
head,
cool,
it's a
but
lot of old head politicians. Like these politicians been sending these, like when you know what's the best thing that was so funny to me when Trump was running, when him and Hillary Clinton was going back and forth with each other, and she said something to him like, you something, and she was like, well, I've been in politics for 32 years. He said, yeah, for 32 years you ain't got nothing done. That's
man,
the truth. Like these people been sitting here, they've been talking about all these stuff that every president come on and say they want to talk about. It's the same stuff that the last 20 presidents been talking about.
mhm.
Everybody getting these offices, they come in broke,
Well,
leave filthy rich, and they leave with their nonprofits to get 50
well,
more
you
rich.
hit the nail on the head. It's the
You know
haves
what I'm
and the
saying? So
have-nots.
it's time to gird these seats. You know what I'm saying? Like these seats. Like okay, let's use the Democrats for instance. What they did was magnificent. They got all new people coming in there telling them old head Democrats, we ain't listen. Y'all gig time is up, and this is what we want to do, and we gonna do what we want to do.
Shout out to Ocasio.
Oh, please don't shout out Miss Cortez, who is always welcome to come on the show if she happened to be watching this. You know, she happened to be watching our podcast. I love.
She just need a little basic one-on-one government, then she'd be cool with me. Cause some stuff I'd be like, now what the hell?
Well, but no, I think to me, and that's why when I say political games, I feel like if you notice what some people talk about, because I'm not gonna play the Bill Clinton clip, I'm not gonna play the Obama interview on Univision where he's talking about he has to enforce the laws that are on the books, and if you want to change, we need to. But basically saying deportation is on the books, so he's enforcing the books. So don't get mad at him for deporting people. Get mad at the people making the laws. Is basically the gist of what he's saying. So all I'm saying is that it amazes me how, and then, like I said, if the Republicans block this bill, then shame on them because there was nothing wrong in what he was saying on surface. Now, if the bill looked completely different, then so be it. But if the Republicans only blocked it because it was a Democrat proposal and they wanted to oppose Obama, then
I think they had a majority back then. Was it
correct.
In 2009,
yeah, it was 2009. Yeah,
the Democrats. That was all them. 2009.
So then my question is,
the House and the Senate.
Right. So then I guess like my question is, well, you are correct. So why didn't it pass?
Because we had a recession going
like,
on.
Listen, I try to tell people this. Democrats ran 30 of those seats that the Democrats ran that they won in the House. Those was retiring Republicans that was opposing Trump. Why do you don't think he didn't get that enough done when he had the House and the Senate? Because he got some people that's sitting in there that's not for his agenda and for how he feel the American people, the things that they need, because everybody got their own greed. When you have the House and the Senate, you should be able to get a lot of stuff passed, but you don't because everybody else be having their own greed. Now, all those seats, those people left, let me tell you something. It's never been recorded in history that many people retired at the same time all at once, especially during a major election. Because when the president come in, that next major election, what just passed, that's how stuff get flip-flopping. You try to keep them seats to keep your agenda moving. Now all of a sudden 30-something Republicans wanted to retire at the same time. It was designed to set up to make President Trump fail. Yes. And that's how those Democrats won.
And then too, I think they felt like the Republican Party had changed. They felt like he wasn't a real Republican. A lot of people, like I say, probably felt like, he alienated some people. He talked shit about certain people. Said like, all right, I'm just gonna retire.
True.
And they probably got frustrated with the party. Just like at this point, everybody's just a yes man in the Republican Party. At this point, for Trump, it's Trump's party.
Yeah, because even I guess the dissenters. Well, yeah, the dissenters are either dead or retiring. Because the only people that you kind of had going the other way would be like Jeff Flake and John McCain.
Right.
It's like now Lindsey Graham he started off that way, but I think he was a little salty from the election. But for about the past 6 months, Lindsey Graham has become, quote unquote, everybody's favorite Republican. So it's a situation where it used to be like it used to be Lindsey Graham and McCain. He was just like, oh, you know, like it was almost like every time they said something, you knew it was gonna be negative, and you knew, oh, okay,
Yeah.
they gonna come trying to buy. But now all of a sudden it's like Lindsey Graham just whoop, popped in line. I don't know if he's trying to get attorney general or something like that. I don't know. I doubt it.
Of
But at the
course.
same time, it's just
Mhm.
I just think that, like I said, if you look at our politicians based on what I just played and everybody here being on their different levels of political spectrum and whatnot, we all heard nothing wrong. And if they, like you said, if the Democrats controlled the White House and the legislative branches, and you know, in both houses of Congress, why wasn't that passed? So
They
that's,
wanted to fail, make Obama fail.
well, I mean, but that's, I mean, well, that's an internal issue.
I
You
don't
know what I'm
know.
saying? That's a real internal issue. You
It
got
was
to think.
2009, right?
2009. So
What
it
was
was
the first-
nobody.
what
It
was
was
the-
no Republicans to block that.
Right. But what was the first thing he was excuse me, like, what was the first thing he was dealing with when he got to the White House?
The recession. But so you feel like they wanted to keep the cheap labor around because we were in a recession and we needed that cheap labor.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying, you know, you were at this point, bro. You were about the economy failing and the whole, you know, the American economy attached to the whole world. You're trying to stop this chain reaction from happening. So at that point, the whole Obama administration was focused on trying to, you know, keep the, you know, America from basically, you know, going down in flames, yo. So, you know, that's probably the last thing. Like, okay, we can worry about immigration later. Right now, let's focus on about the economy from going to a Great Depression, part 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I said after listening to that, oh my bad, you still saying something? Go ahead.
Yeah, I said now the last 4 years, it was Republican ran, right? I think the Senate was.
Yeah, the Senate, yeah, it was a Republican majority, correct?
Yeah.
It wasn't a super majority or a filibuster, but it was still majority.
Okay, all right.
So I'm sorry, Naomi, you said you're talking about Mexico president solution. What exactly is that?
So Mexico's
Narcos.
newly elected president offered a solution to the immigrant or the migrants in Tijuana, right?
And they said, hell no.
Oh, the solution is it's dumb. Oh, just
What
it's
is
no
that?
word. It's no
Oh,
word.
I know what you're talking about. Build up.
I'm gonna show a screenshot real quick. Hold on. But solution basically says they're gonna throw money at them, give them money to rebuild their country so that they can stop coming into Mexico and America. And I think he even touched on basically if he doesn't do this, then America suffers or something. He's trying to make it seem like it's our idea and it's great for America, but it's really not. It's just once we give them money, they're going to keep coming back for more money. So this is what they said.
Yeah, it's more or less like building up the infrastructure of Mexico and some of the others.
No, it's not.
We'll talk about. Remember, we talked about the investment thing. It was about investing money so that they can have.
It's not Mexico. It's there. It's other countries.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. Well, no, Mexico said they want to do it in there as well.
Well, this specifically is talking about his plan to invest where these migrants are coming from, right? He's going to give that country money to build their infrastructure so that their people does not have to migrate to Mexico. It makes, I'm going to just read off what it says, but it makes no sense to me. So I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you see it?
It's so small.
Oh, is it small? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I got good eyes.
Better?
There you go.
Okay. Mexican government has announced plans to spend $30 billion over the next 5 years on Central American development, an initiative designed to slow migration for some of the hemisphere's poorest and most violent countries. And then, let's see. Let me blow it up for you again. Right. So he goes on to say that it's basically a Marshall's Plan. We're going to guarantee that the rights of migrants in our territory are respected. About how to resolve the problem, we're putting together a proposal to invest in productive projects and job creation. And not only that, in work visas, as well as for Mexican and for the United States. I don't get how this is smart. I just, as a country, and he's getting a lot of slack by the Mexican people. The Mexican people are very upset about this. He goes on to say, oh, wait, that's Nancy and her lies. I think that's all I got for that.
He need to build
The
up.
whole article was really
He need to
interesting.
build up Mexico. How he gonna talk about they gonna send something to somebody else like Mexico? All that.
And that's what the people of Mexico are saying. They're saying, how dare he talk about giving $30 billion to South America when they don't have anything.
Is he serious?
But if you
When
look at
last
what he
time
said
been to
also,
Tijuana?
but he was also talking about offering work visas. And well, this is nothing you gotta think about. This ain't gonna even stop. No. Wait, time out. But you gotta think about this for a second. You gotta think about this for a second. This might not even, I don't even care. Like I said, I don't care if it don't sound right. But if Mexico is offering work visas to people, like what are they doing? You understand what I'm saying? Like what work are Mexicans, no, seriously, what work are Mexicans not doing that they're now gonna offer to El Salvadorians and people from Honduras?
More drugs, making more profit.
Man, I mean,
they're going straight
Drugs
to the
seem to be
cartel.
their mainstay of their economy anyway.
You said what now?
Work them like some slaves to make drugs. That's exactly what they're gonna do.
That's what it
drug
sounded to
industry
me.
is their main commodity for them, and you did.
Well, and okay, let's just look at the smart aspect of it, right? Offering, this is what President Trump had said at one point. He said any of the people migrating in, if they want to get a job and they go to work, I have no problem, right? This is what they're saying. If you want to come in, sure, you can come in if you're on a work visa, if we treat you like a slave, right? Because that's what they're going to be doing, the slave work that the other Mexicans don't want to do, or they're going to be working for the cartel. That's essentially what this is. Mexico is so corrupt, you can't believe anything that they say.
Yeah, it's more than the cartel in Mexico, yo. You know, we got like General Motors has plants down there, Levi has plants down there, Kerry has a plant down there. There's a lot of American businesses that have plants down there. Another thing we have to look at, this is why I believe history is totally important, because the United States has had an effect throughout that region for a long, has had its hand in that region for a long time through the Reagan administration and really past before Reagan. You know, the reason why the poverty is so bad there, the different policies for our foreign policy, and even our economic policy as well with them. It's I'm trying to think of what I'm saying. Sorry, y'all. Hold on.
Well, now you good with you. If you watch Narcos, you know what's going on. Just watch Narcos. That's the reason why.
But you know, like you said, General Motors is down there, right? But General Motors ain't paying.
Right. What I'm saying is I feel like, you know, maybe the option we have is we can work with those countries like Guatemala and El Salvador to like invest in their infrastructure and to fight the gangs like MS-13 and like in Central America, stuff like that. Because let's be real, America, you know, the CIA back in the day was down there messing up some shit and popping up dictators. So we got a little responsibility in this. Why those caravans are coming from Central America and South America come to the United States.
Well, I don't think it's our. This is just me, my personal opinion, not based in any type of fact, just my view. I could care less. I could care less if we had a part in anything. Okay, they can go fuck themselves. I'm not giving money to anybody but my family in the country I pay taxes in. On a side note of that, I'm also going on a mission trip to Panama to help them. But that's church related. That's different. That's totally different.
Yeah, that don't count.
That's church related. So my point is, you can do things for other countries, sure, but to obligate our country's resources to do this, to say we're gonna do this as a country when all of us don't agree, it's not fair. And I think that if we were in the position, if America fell and we were at the bottom all of a sudden, say in the next 20 years and our economy wasn't shit, they wouldn't help us. They wouldn't.
No one never helps America.
Nobody will help America.
Ain't nobody never helped America. But what you said, let me tell you, what's something that really pissed me off. Senator Kamala Harris retweeted a GoFundMe.
I know, I've seen it.
For illegal immigrants.
Wow.
When there's so many homeless people on the street, veterans that don't nobody even care about.
That's what I've always wondered.
Is that even legal? Is that some type of ethics violation? She could be held accountable. Like, how is that even possible?
He gives us Punjabi.
Is it a crime to stand up for humanity, though? Are we criminalize it for that?
No, listen. I thought that you can't use your public office to do stuff like that. Just like Trump can't be working and doing stuff in his business.
Well, as long as she can say like, okay, I was speaking as Camilla Harris, not Senator Camilla Harris. I'm
No,
guessing.
she with her senator, her government official account, it says she's raising money to help illegal immigrants at the border.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen. I gotta.
But she
Oh
wouldn't.
yeah,
That's a
go.
good
I
question.
retweeted it. Go look.
I
Now,
looked
my
at it
thing,
in
I
her
don't
page.
care about helping the humanity. But that's why they need to fix all the immigration stuff, even with asylum. I understand these people fleeing. I want them to get help and come over here and thrive and do better. I don't care about no illegal. We can have a whole bunch of illegal immigrants over here. I never cared about that. But I just care about it being the right way and people that's getting bumped out because people that's doing it illegally.
Got you.
Yeah, but I don't think that's asylum.
She's not defending the asylum seekers that really came in the right way.
asylum.
She defending the ones that doing it the right way.
Asylum is when they are in a war zone, right? And they have no other options but death, right? Like it's a torturous environment for them to be in. So they have to come here to live.
Well,
It was like the Jews when they came over here during the Holocaust. That would have been seeking.
That's asylum.
right.
What I'm saying is like I just look at it from an American, quote unquote, a pro-American view. We don't offer asylum to our own citizens to get us out of our situations. So why are we doing it technically? It's almost like you say, let's get our house in order before we start worried about everybody else. That's just the way I look at the asylum, please. When it comes from, I live in an area with a lot of crime. We don't have no high crime areas in America. They don't have no out for them. You understand what I'm saying? So I'm like, I get it, the humanitarian aspect to a certain extent, trying to do better for your family, whatever the case may be, is why I'm saying apply for a work visa. But basically make it seem like because you live in a bad area of town or you got gangs where you live at, we can start naming off areas right now.
When Chicago worse than some of these cities they say they coming from.
Nah, but I'm telling you, Honduras, you gotta study this stuff. Like I study like foreign policy and all this shit, bro. Like this shit is bad down there. Like it's not the stuff that's going on in America and in Chicago. That stuff look like minor stuff compared to what's going on in Central America. It's bad.
Well, National Geographic.
My thing is too. So okay, say for example, we say, hey, are we gonna send them back to where they fled from? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do we do at that point? Like now, if we send them back, it's gonna make America look bad. So
well, this is my thing. If I'm coming over here to seek asylum, I'm gonna come over here the right way, so I won't have no. If I'm fleeing from this, what I'm saying I'm fleeing from, they already know what's going on. They have people that have been coaching them on the route to come. And you still try to climb the fence and go over the wrong way. That's on you if you get sent back. You could have went and came to the. I'm saying.
Well, I got what you.
Well, our problem is.
I'm sorry. You're thinking from a more Western European standpoint. These people, they are fleeing. They are really fleeing danger.
And I'm
so
not
at the end of the day, let me finish. If you're fleeing a conflict zone, you would do what it takes. If you have to climb a fence with barbed wire on top of it and climb over, you're gonna climb over.
Okay, listen. Listen. They coming all the way from Honduras. They gotta pass a whole nother country.
For what?
They gotta pass a whole nother country. So you don't already went past. I understand you. I'm not saying that you're not running from where you're running from. But by the time you reach the American border, you already passed the people that you fleeing from. So that don't say just because you fleeing from them, you have to go to the
That's another thing. That's another thing y'all don't understand. You're not understanding is, okay, yes, they're leaving out of like Guatemala, Central America, now they're going through Mexico. But the number one thing that the narcos, and we joking about narcos, right? Back in the 80s and the 90s, the biggest thing that narcos transformed was marijuana and cocaine. But their biggest product now is human trafficking.
Yeah.
So what happens is, if you ever watch shows, they talk about these cartels. Basically, they say, "Hey, you give us a certain amount of money, we're gonna get you to the border."
Well, my dad did that way.
And what usually ends up happening is these people either get robbed, get killed, and take their money, or they end up in sex trafficking. So now you got these people like, hey, we can't stop in Mexico. We got to get to America because if we stop and stay here, now we're going to get extorted by the cartels and stuff like that. So it's more than them just saying, hey, I'm going to stop here in Mexico and chill out here. There's a lot going on in that whole region.
But
this
my
to
thing is
say
they
that
can go other directions. If you think
is this
geographically,
What other
like
direction?
well, let me. When you think geographically, right? When you think about because National Geographic just came out with this 3 weeks ago that
Oh, I
said
seen that.
you
Yeah.
see Venezuela. They did a whole thing. It was beautiful. The imagery was beautiful. It was well written, and they went over there for I think like 6-7 months, and they were in the middle of these areas like you're talking about, Anthony. The areas that are worse than we could ever imagine, and they said that the people there that they had money. They showed stacks of money. Okay, they had money. They were saving money because they knew eventually they would have to get out, right? And they knew that the government was corrupt and they didn't care about them and war was breaking out. And they said they had family members in other parts of Central America, yet they still chose to take that money they saved instead of getting on a plane to come into this direction illegally. And there was other options. And he asked people, why don't you stay? This is exactly what he said. Why don't you stay with the money you have and try to build up your community or try to do something maybe in close proximity to where you were from to help the area instead of running from the conflict. And they said it's just easier to take our money and try to get into America. Like when my dad came, he came through Panama, right? He was going to go to Germany. His brother stayed in Germany. He went to England, he went to Panama, and I said, well, why'd you come here? I would have stayed in England, right? Like, why'd you come here? Shit, they're better than us. He said because when he was in line of immigration to come through and try to get in, there were 5 other Indians behind him, and they looked at them because they were loud and disrespectful and said, none of you are here. He said that happens. He said he wasn't fleeing from conflict, but they could have been in that part that was. You get what I'm saying? So that
well, let
kind
me
of
ask you,
occurs more often
do,
than we know.
or, with America being the big brother, do you think that's always the solution? Everybody just runs to us?
It doesn't need to be. Because
That's
they
what
don't
it
open
is.
America's
over there.
always been that. That's how you think
Yeah,
America. That's how America's
but
got built, yo.
But it's been
Like
that
America,
right, but
England won't let them
it's
in.
always a crutch.
Germany
You know,
won't let them in. Other countries aren't weak like us. They say no.
right,
If we would have been saying no, we wouldn't be weak and being taken advantage of. That's my
right,
point.
exactly.
That's my
Because
point. They don't
like,
everybody
want
leans
us
on
to
America.
hold on,
think
how's it weak, yo? Like, if it wasn't for immigrants coming to this country, yo, we wouldn't have the space program we have. Because, as a matter of fact, the guy that built the rockets designed the rockets for NASA came from Germany. You
well,
know what I'm
maybe
saying?
Germany
Like,
would have a
America,
better
We
if you
also
track,
wouldn't
if you
have
look at history,
slavery
the majority of the
if they didn't come here.
billionaires and people that built this country, they were immigrants.
but don't
They
you want
came over the right way.
but I was gonna say, don't you want to ask yourself if they were so smart and had all these skills, why didn't they build their own countries up?
Because a lot
Right,
of times either it was like
right,
conflict, persecution, war, all this different type of thing.
You got that same shit over here. Like we had civil wars. I mean, I don't think that's an excuse. I think it's just
That's a whole different thing.
but it's
That was a
easier
whole
to
different.
run. It's easier to run from conflict. Is my point. It's easier to always run from conflict. You think about conflict and
exactly.
take it out of America. Think about it in a relationship,
No,
right? When you're arguing with your husband or your wife, it's easier to leave the house than it is to argue back with her and tell her.
Naomi, Naomi,
Right.
have you ever been to a war zone?
Pakistan, yes.
Not the same thing.
Not same thing.
Why isn't it?
I've been to two wars.
Like,
I've been to 2 war zones.
they
Let
still
me
in
tell you
war.
something. It's not easy, yo.
It's a civil
It's
war.
not easy. It's not easy to stay there, to just stay there and build up something like that. We
Well,
got
what
a
do
war
you
coming.
do? You
Well,
just
So
gonna
what's
keep
your
running the
solution
rest
if
of
you
your
breaking
life
the law?
and
What's
just
your
run
solution
to
then?
country to country?
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
your
exactly.
solution? I want to know what's your solution since I
Yeah,
understand everything you said. What's the solution? So continue to break the law.
yeah.
I never said to break the law. I never said that. My thing is we need to have the whole thing Chuck Schumer said. I agree with that. But at the same time, this caravan, the so-called caravan is coming up. I think we need to at least process their their asylum. You know what I'm saying? Basically, Trump is just saying like, "Fuck that! I'm not going to process that. I don't even want you to come. Don't come to my border." That's my issue with it. I'm with you.
Well,
I want immigration.
and
I
I
don't want.
agree. They need to stay where they're at
I'm sorry. I
and
told my
develop
husband,
their own
no, I
country.
told my husband the other day, I said, babe, if
No.
they keep coming over here, where are we gonna move to? Because
Right.
I can't deal
They
with
need
this.
to stay home.
Where are we gonna move? Like what country?
Right.
Shit, he said
They
Thailand.
know it's advantageous to come here. That's why they do it. We're so open and so liberal about letting them come here, and that's why they keep coming here.
The
Well,
floodgates
You
I'm
are
just
you
saying.
never
Well,
develop your own place if you just keep running from everything
well,
and anything.
well,
I
well,
get it, the
Anthony,
civil war and the civil strife. I understand that.
Right, but you
Hey,
at the same time,
hold on,
Understand it. This
But
is no
Thomas, at the
different
same time, bro,
you know.
at the same time, if you look at for the last since after World War II, what country has been the number one superpower? It's when Iran has over 182 bases around the world. It has been in the Middle East the last 40, 30 years. Has proxy wars in Southeast Asia, proxy wars in Africa now.
It has a world's largest crime rate because we just let everybody and anybody come.
No. What I'm saying is, if we want to stop this issue of displacement of people, America has to stop its imperialist vengeance.
Yeah,
I don't agree with that.
Well, hold on.
No,
But see, the
we gotta-
other, wait, time. The one thing that needs to be addressed is it's almost like a little kid mentality, right? It's the thing about it's almost like little kid. If a little kid starts yelling and screaming, and you give them what they want, they're just gonna keep yelling and screaming. So what I'm saying is, when you had these kids, right? And I mean, we had these people who are bombarding. Like what I'm saying is like this. Okay, bottom line is, we had these caravans and things now, right? What if everybody in Mexico like, well, shoot, if we all just leave and rush the wall, we can all get in. And we just got like 70, 80, 100,000 people coming. What I'm saying is the method matters. And if you don't focus on the method, then it's just pointless. You understand what I'm saying? Because all we're going to keep doing is, I don't like the caravan approach. Now, I understand what you're saying, because like I said, I do watch Narcos. I know these people are probably being forced to work all day. These cartels and things like that are taking advantage of these people. A lot of violence. I get all that. But at the same time, if all we do is say, yeah, we'll process you, but guess what? If enough of you come in a group, we'll just let you all in. What's going to stop El Salvador from even being a country? Like, what they just all say, well, shoot, man, let's all head to America. And it's going to be like a then what? We're going to be displacing entire countries, and we're going to have new El Salvador within the United States of America, and El Salvador is just going to be like an empty place. That's all I'm saying.
I understand, but that's where it comes in. America having better foreign policy, bro.
I agree.
So where does that start? Where does it start? Does it start with what Mexico's president is doing?
No, to me it starts with
giving money.
No, it starts with us withdrawing our reach. We got to kind of sort of fall back on how much we get involved in.
But if we think about
intervention, yo.
But I was going to say, if we think about Anthony's logic, we should be giving them money to rebuild their homes and taking everybody who comes, right?
No, he mentioned 182 bases. I think what he's talking about is our influences all around the world. If we weren't influencing all around the world, we kind of let these countries, the same way we talk about these countries, you know what I'm saying? Like we say, why don't you just fix your own country? Great. Why don't we just start falling back? Correct. Yeah. Why don't we fall back from our
That's because everybody used America. When 9/11 happened, what allies of ours came up here to help us build up New York back up? Who came over here and funded us to help us get us back together? Nobody helps America do anything.
Everybody offered assistance. We turned it down. I'm not exactly sure what country that was.
Well, we do have a coalition force in Afghanistan and in Iraq.
Right.
So we get assistance in some of those type of things, but I mean, we don't now. The one thing you don't see is now we just had the hurricanes. You ain't seen Great Britain sending those ships and France and China and all that stuff. Yeah, I will get you on the humanitarian side, but I will disagree from a military standpoint. We do get assistance from a military standpoint, but it might not be. It's not equal. Let's get that right. It is a combined joint task force, but it kind of sort of is more relative to about the amount of money that we
50
put into
countries joining in at one time versus when we go do something for somebody, it's just us doing it, putting our billions in. But these countries, it's 5 of them and 1 helping us.
Correct. And I think that goes back to what he's saying. If we kind of fell back, because you think about it, you got to look at it. Look at where America has all these bases outside of the U.S. It's places where we were fighting, or during World War II, some sort of agreements treaties. We're in Germany, we're in Italy.
Resources for those countries.
If you look at where the Axis powers used to be, what was it? During World War II, we weren't Axis, but that was World War I. Anyway,
I'm talking about
whatever Germany and Italy, Mussolini and all them. If you look at where Mussolini and Hitler and the dude from Japan are, that's where we have all these military bases, right? We don't have military bases.
Pacific and all that. Yeah.
But in the Pacific, we have where? Korea. because we fought the Korean War, we fought into a stalemate. The difference between Vietnam is we didn't necessarily establish, like it didn't separate. I don't think it's North and South Vietnam anymore. It's just Vietnam, right? There is no North and South, right? But if you look what happened, correct. But if you look what happened in Korea, because we fought basically to a stalemate, North Korea established their own independent nation. We said, well, shoot, we need to keep them in check. And if you look at where military bases are all across the world, they are basically to keep people, and I'm just be honest with you, to keep people in check. You know what I'm saying? We have military bases on Puerto Rico, even though that's
Listen to
territory.
that. I'm just curious why the United States picks and chooses who they help, because when the European Union was invading Ireland and Ireland was having a civil war, and this is before Ireland branched out on their own, why didn't America get involved then?
You know
because
what?
Britain was the bigger ally.
Yeah, and in America, if you pay attention, America tends to help countries, or it goes to war in places where they have an economic interest in.
Correct.
No economic-
Ireland, yeah, you gotta look at Ireland. What was Ireland going to
Yeah.
Right, like for example,
we had Idaho for potatoes, so we were good.
Fun fact, Ireland is the only country in the world that produces Botox. So we do need them.
You might need them. Us regular folks, we're not worried about producing Botox. That's why we need to fight the Botox war. Seriously, we're gonna interfere in the Irish Civil War. Botox. At least when we interfere in the Middle East, it was so my gas prices could be low.
shit, it was hot in.
Yeah.
Weren't they like $4 then? No. When was gas $4? It was $4 at one point. When was that?
Like the 2006, 7.
That was what Hurricane Andrew, wasn't it?
Shit, I don't know, but I know that gas was.
That was during that hurricane when the trucks couldn't get through no more.
It was $4 for regular because I had to.
Yeah, because that's when the stations were running out of gas. Like it's been a long time since like you had to go around the whole city trying to find gas. So we haven't had no gas shortage, but I remember that. But you can go ahead, Naomi.
My mother said she's for the wall. Just she wants everyone to know.
She's for the wall.
That's all she.
Did she say why?
She said she can't get on the podcast. She needs to get on this thing now. I'm for the wall. Oh, I can have her call in. Why didn't I think?
Yeah. No. She can't. Remember. She can't because we're live, so she can't call in.
She didn't say why. She didn't say why she supported the wall.
Who knows? Look, I want to thank everybody for coming on. I think we're going to end the discussion there. We're probably just going to spend all next week talking about prison reform and transgender people.
It'll still be going on.
Oh, it's a lot.
Transgender, they need to change their title to name to entitlement.
They got like 9 letters now. We did it on Jeopardy. It's so many letters.
I don't know who made them guys.
I've been thinking maybe we should do another show.
Stop talking about them. I got banned on Twitter. My dad suspended my account for saying something about a transgender. I said, I'm just speaking my opinion.
Yes, 8.
I'm gonna leave them alone.
But you know what? I've been thinking maybe we'll do a Price is Right Black edition.
Price is Right.
Price is Right Black edition. Like we'll have Murray's Edge Control. The activator.
Wait. Price is Right. What game are we playing? We gonna play Plinko online? How we gonna do that?
No, we're gonna play the one where you guess the price and the low high.
Oh, gotcha.
So I've been thinking we'll do a Black Price is Right. Like how much is like the off-brand Fruit Loops? Honey Smacks. How much is Honey Smacks?
I'm
not good at prices.
Was and my mom was on drugs. We still had name brand food. That was my mother was on.
There you go. You see that?
I wonder if we can put like how many WIC coupons do you need for that? We'll figure it out. We're gonna do a Black.
We'll look at it. But yeah, like I said, we appreciate everybody coming on tonight. We are way. Wow, you almost went like my show. You almost got to 10 o'clock. Good job. Well, we started late, so never mind. I forgot it ain't as long.
I'm gonna drink a strawberry Rita. I'm good to go.
Yeah, we know. We saw you. Next time Brown bag it, it'll be a lot more.
Listen, I should tell y'all, all our podcasts are sponsored by Hennessy. So this week we thought we'd switch it up and have strawberry Rita for your convenience.
Man, you better ask for a check before you start doing that.
You better give me a check all the Henny I drink on here.
Oh shoot, when your husband was on there with his dang bottle chugging it during Black Jeopardy, yeah, you definitely should get you. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and stop the live stream now. So we will see y'all Monday at 8 p.m. as well. And back here again next Thursday to discuss more of the current events and issues. Y'all